Nobody stopped at his kennel. Not the families who came on Saturday mornings, not the couples who walked the rows slowly, reading every card, not the volunteers who brought extra treats on Sundays. They all walked past Kennel 11, not because he growled, not because he lunged, but because a 160-pound Presa Canario sitting perfectly still with his eyes fixed on the middle distance doesn't look like a dog waiting to be loved. He looks like a dog who has already stopped waiting. His name was Atlas, and in 2 years at that rescue, not a single person had filled out an application for him. What happened the afternoon Karen walked in without a plan, without a preference, and without any intention of leaving with a dog that size changed everything. His name was Atlas, a 160-pound Presa Canario with a brindle coat the color of storm-soaked earth and a face so broad and still it looked like something carved rather than born. He was 5 years old when Karen first saw him, sitting in the center of his kennel at a rescue outside of Denver, Colorado, not pressed against the back wall, not pacing, just sitting, upright and perfectly composed, like a dog who had learned that dignity was the one thing nobody could take from him. She almost kept walking. Almost. Atlas had been at the rescue for 731 days, 2 full years. In that time, 47 families had walked his row, slowed down, looked at the card on his kennel door, looked at him, and kept moving. The rescue director, a woman named Carol, told Karen the truth the way people tell truths they've had to repeat too many times. He's not aggressive. He's not difficult. He's just a lot of dog, and most people don't want a lot of dog. The staff had stopped putting him in adoption photos. They didn't want him to get his hopes up. Karen stood at the kennel door for a long moment. Then she asked Carol to open it. She didn't crouch down or make herself small. She walked in, stood in the center of the kennel, and waited. Atlas looked at her. Not the way dogs look at strangers, assessing, uncertain, cautious. He looked at her the way he looked at everything, completely, like he was reading something written in a language most people didn't know existed. Then he stood up, walked to her, and pressed the full side of his enormous body against her legs. Not his head, his whole body. Karen put both hands on his back and held on. Carol, standing at the kennel entrance, didn't say anything for a long time. When she finally spoke, her voice was different. She said Atlas had never done that before, not with anyone. In 2 years, he had never once pressed himself against a visitor. Karen was filling out the paperwork within the hour. The first weeks were quiet in a way Karen hadn't expected. Atlas moved through her house like he was trying not to disturb anything, like a guest who wasn't sure yet if he was allowed to take up space. He ate carefully, he walked carefully. He chose a spot near the kitchen window and stayed there most of the day, watching the street outside with the same calm attention he gave everything. She started sitting near him in the evenings, not touching him, just being close. By the second week, he had shifted his spot 3 feet closer to where she sat. By the 4th week, he was beside her on the floor every evening, his back against her legs, his breathing slow and even, and the kitchen felt different, fuller, like a room that had been missing furniture and someone had finally figured out what it needed. Atlas had a particular relationship with time. He learned that Karen's coffee went cold if she left it longer than 12 minutes, and he would sit beside it as if to say, "You're forgetting something." On Wednesdays, he followed her from room to room at exactly 3 feet, close enough to be present, far enough not to crowd. He learned the sound of her car from 4 houses away and was at the door before she reached the porch, every time. People in the neighborhood were cautious. A father walking his daughter to school crossed to the far sidewalk every morning for the first month. A neighbor asked more than once whether a dog that size was legal inside city limits. The woman at the dog park suggested he might be more comfortable somewhere with more space, a polite way of saying he made the other dogs nervous. Karen understood. She had felt it herself, that first second when she registered his size before anything else. She didn't blame anyone. She just knew, by then, what came after it. What came after it was everything. I see you still haven't subscribed. That honestly breaks my heart a little. Hit subscribe. You'll want to stay for what happens next. The night Karen understood what she had brought home came 3 months in, on a Tuesday in January. She had been crying for most of the evening, the quiet kind, when you're not sure what you're grieving, but your body has decided it's time anyway. She was sitting on the kitchen floor with her back against the cabinets, not looking for comfort, just existing in it. Atlas came in from the hallway. He didn't make a sound. He walked to her, turned, and lowered his 160-pound body onto the floor in front of her, facing outward, positioning himself between her and whatever was wrong. Then he leaned that against her shins and stayed there, completely still, a wall of warmth in a cold kitchen at 11:47 p.m. Karen put her hand on his back. He didn't move. She sat there for a long time. So did he. Presa Canarios were developed over centuries in the Canary Islands to guard and hold ground. What that history created is a breed with an almost unsettling capacity to read the people around them and respond not with noise, but with presence. Pure, unwavering, immovable presence. Atlas didn't ask Karen what was wrong. He already knew, and his answer was the same answer he gave to everything. He stayed. If this one is staying with you, you're exactly who we make these for. Today, Atlas is 7 years old. The father who crossed the street every morning now stops to let his daughter pet him. The neighbor who asked about city ordinances spent most of a coffee visit on the floor with Atlas's head in her lap. The dog park woman said, unprompted, she had never seen a dog carry himself quite like that. Karen said she knew exactly what she meant. Atlas still sits by the kitchen window in the mornings. He still follows Karen room to room on Wednesdays. He still arrives at the door before she reaches the porch. He still lowers himself beside her in the evenings, his back against her legs, taking up exactly as much space as he needs, and no more. He still watches everything. What 47 families walked past was not a dog who was too much. It was a dog offering something most people don't slow down long enough to recognize: steadiness, attention, the kind of love that doesn't perform itself, doesn't ask to be noticed, just shows up in the same place every day and waits for you to realize it was always there. Atlas was overlooked his whole life. He never once overlooked anyone back. Some dogs spend years asking to be seen. The extraordinary ones never stop offering that gift, even to the people who kept walking. Is this loyalty or is this love? And is there really a difference? Tell me in the comments.